I'd like to recognize on the floor of the Senate former Senator John Foster, who's with us. Glad to have you back visiting, John. Appreciate that very much. And also Seth Harp, former senator. We're blessed to have great former colleagues present with us. Time for convening having arrived. The Senate will come to order. Would ask unauthorized visitors to exit chamber at this time, and the Senate will come to order. Chair recognizes the very distinguished Rules Chairman of the Senate of the 53rd.
Good morning, Mr. President. Would like to remind everybody today's day 20, midterm, 10 days to cross over. We're halfway there, so everybody better be prepared. But the journal's been read and found to be correct, sir.
Thank you, Senator, for your good works on the journal. Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the journal? Reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none. The journal is confirmed. All senators having bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Bill 176 by Senators Tolleson of the 20th and Ginn of the 47th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 12 of the OCGA relating to waste management so as to revise
natural resources.
Senate Bill 177 by Senators Ginn of the 47th
Economic
and others.
Development.
Senate Bill 178 by Senator Miller of the 40th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 6 of Chapter 6 of Title 47 of the OCGA relating to retirement. Senate Bill 179 by Senators Hill of the 6th and Dugan of the 30th, a bill to be entitled an act.
General.
Senate Bill 180 by Senators Bethel of the 54th and others.
Retirement.
Senate Bill 181 by Senators Bethel of the 54th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 1-4-3 of the
Government
OCGA.
Oversight.
Senate Bill 182 by Senator Lucas of the 26th. Senate Bill 183 by Senator Lucas of the 26th.
Slow go.
Senate Bill 184 by Senators McCoon of the 29th
Ethics.
and others. Through with the order, Mr. President.
First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions.
House Bill 68 by Representative Kidd of the 145th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 43-34-11 of the OCGA.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 182 by Representatives Welton
Judiciary.
of the 3rd. House Bill 246 by Representatives Golick of
Insurance
the 40th.
and Labor.
House Bill 319 by Representatives.
Slow go.
House Bill 321 by Representatives.
Slow go.
House Bill 334 by Representatives Kelly of the 16th. Through with the order, Mr. President.
Clerk will read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Education and Youth Committee has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation, that Senate Bill 100 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Tippins of the 37th. Mr. President, the Senate Finance Committee has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation, that Senate Bill 72 do pass, that Senate Resolution 72 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Hill of the 32nd Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Public Safety Committee has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation, that Senate Bill 122 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Carter of the 1st Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate State and Local Governmental Operations Committee has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation, that House Bill 220 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Ligon of the 3rd Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Transportation Committee has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation, that Senate Bill 70 do pass by substitute, that Senate Resolution 73 do pass, that Senate Resolution 96 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Gooch of the 51st Chairman. Through with the order, Mr. President.
Clerk will read bills and resolutions for the second time.
Senate Bill 143 by Senator Miller of the 40th, Retirement System, Board of Trustees and Public Retirement Systems provide duties. House Bill 105 by Representative Ralston of the 7th and others. Supplemental Appropriations, State Fiscal Year July 1st, 2012 through June 30th, 2013. Through with the order, Mr. President.
like to present the Doctor of the Day, and to do so, I call upon the distinguished senator from the 37th.
It's my privilege today to introduce to you Dr. Samuel Gilbert, undergraduate from University of Southern California, and received his medical degree from University of Health Sciences, the Chicago Medical School. He currently resides in Cobb County and is with the Kennestone Family Physicians and on the staff of Kennestone, Wellstar Kennestone Hospital. It's my privilege to welcome today Dr. Gilbert. Give you an opportunity to speak to us just a minute.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for allowing me the privilege of being Doctor of the Day.
Thank you very much. Good. It's time for the morning roll call. Time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Chair recognizes Senator from the 18th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we excuse the senator from, never mind.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 38th.
Mr. President, I move that we excuse the senators from the 36th and 39th for business elsewhere on Capitol Hill.
36th and 39th. Without objection, the two senators will be excused. Are there any other motions to excuse? Chair recognizes Senator from the 34th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 55th. She is en route. And 26. Is he up there? Oh, 55.
55th. Without objection, senator from the 55th will be excused.
26.
And 26th. 26th. 55th and 26th. Without objection, the two will be excused. All right. Any other motions to excuse? Secretary will call the roll of senators. Signify your presence by voting the yea switch. Secretary will unlock the machine. It's now time for our morning devotion. Just so I have your attention, those senators that wish to excuse themselves, now would be the time when I say that the chamber will prepare itself for morning devotion. And when I say to the doorkeeper, secure the chamber, then they are to secure the chamber at that time, and no one is able to enter or exit. So would ask that senators please take your seats and cease conversation. It is now, and doorkeepers secure the chamber at this time. It's my honor now to call upon this distinct senator from the 54th for the purpose of leading us in our pledge and introducing our chaplain of the day. Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will you please join me in honoring our nation? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. In our state, I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senators. It is a pleasure for me to introduce to you this morning Chuck Harris. Like me, Chuck Harris was raised in Dalton, Georgia. Like me, he graduated from Dalton High School and played football. And unlike me, he had talent that took him beyond Dalton High School's football team. Chuck played and was a letterman for 2 years at the University of Georgia, was a member of the 1976 SEC championship team. He's a 1976 graduate of the University of Georgia and later graduated from the New Orleans Baptist Seminary. He and his lovely wife, Deborah, continue to make their home in Dalton. She is a teacher at Brookwood Elementary School, where my sons attend. He has 4 children, Rachel, Caleb, James, and Mary Campbell. There are a lot of things I could tell you about Chuck Harris's life, but I'd rather you hear his voice. I can tell you from having sat in front of Chuck that the Spirit speaks through Chuck Harris. And if your heart is not stirred this morning on his words, then you need to go see the cardiologist. So, Chuck Harris, we will hear you gladly.
Thank you. The psalmist said, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good." Just down the street at the Wonderful World of Coca-Cola, when you finish your tour, you are invited to taste the product of Coca-Cola that is served all around the world. I invite you now to taste with me the goodness of God through the work of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes that is being done in our middle schools, high schools, and colleges all across our state. We shall do this by considering one word, the word position. Position, rank, status, a stance taken, an area occupied, a place from which one operates or performs. Athletes, like politicians, have position in our society. FCA exhorts and educates Christian athletes and coaches about the importance and uniqueness of their position. In regard to 3 areas, we must know our position, we must be in position, and when the time comes, we must play our position. We exhort our athletes in 4 areas as far as knowing their position. Their positions are public positions. And when you have a public positions, then you have influence and impact. And so your choices are important because they affect yourselves and others. We remind our athletes that they have been placed in position. Just like a politician is elected into a position, all of our athletes are placed into a position. It's a privilege to be in their position, and therefore they have a right and they have a responsibility to respect the authority of man and God, to be aware of grace that has put them there, and to be accountable in all that they do. We exhort them in the area that all positions come with a price. Just like somebody paid a price to get you elected, a great price is always paid, a price of sacrifice and love for people that are in public position to be there. And we remind them of that. And then finally, we exhort them on the purpose of their position. And that is not that they are there for themselves, but they are there to serve for the good of others and for the glory of God. And then we educate them in two areas. The area of staying in position. When I played football, one of the things they pressed on you, you had to make sure you stayed in your position. We do this in FCA through our One Way to Play drug and alcohol-free programs, whether it be Lance Armstrong or I could name many others. How many athletes have gotten out of position and vacated their position because of drugs and alcohol? So we educate in that way. And then in the last area, we educate them on how to play their position, to play by the rules. Students have a legal right to stand for truth in the public sector in a way that respects authority and respects the rights of others. And so therefore we encourage them. Position. I want to thank you this morning for helping us to promote the positive power of position. Let's pray together. Now unto the great positioner himself, who left his lofty position to assume the most undesired and undeserved, the lowest of all positions, that we might leave our low positions and rise to the positions of our highest and best potentials. In his name, the very name of Jesus, may you assume your public positions of privilege this day, serving for the good of man and for the glory of God. Amen.
I'd like to give the moment for Senator Seth Harp, former Senator Seth Harp from Columbus, an opportunity to say a word to the Senate.
Thank you, Governor. I am here this morning in my capacity as a member of the Georgia Independent Colleges Association, and I want to direct and to thank you all, my fellow senators, for your support of the independent colleges through appropriations. But today we signed the articulation agreement between the independent colleges and the technical colleges of Georgia. And with that agreement, we will facilitate young people going through the technical colleges, and then they can go into our universities and colleges and continue their education. But I want to thank you all for your help in that regard. Will first foster the education of the young people in Georgia, and we will go through our system. And again, thanks to each and every one of you for your help in that process. If anybody has any questions, sometime after today, give us a call, and we'll certainly be able to help you answer and understand more fully what is entailed in that. Thank you all for your support and help.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's good work.
I saw Ben over there.
Ben's over there, yeah, talking. Yeah, catch him. Senator from the 47th, you ready? Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 193 by Senators Ginn of the 47th and others. A resolution recognizing Wednesday, February 20th, 2013 as Alpha Gamma Rho Day at the State Capitol and for other purposes. Whereas the purposes of Alpha Gamma Rho are to make better men by surrounding them with influences that encourage individual endeavor, resourcefulness, and aggressive effort, and the development of better mental, social, moral, and physical qualities to make a broader and better agriculture and to promote a wider acquaintance and broader outlook on the part of agricultural men through fellowship in a national organization that stands for the best social, mental, and moral development. And whereas Alpha Gamma Rho was founded nationally on April 4th, 1908 by two local fraternities from Ohio State University and University of Illinois. And now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend the Alpha Eta and Gamma Delta chapters of Alpha Gamma Rho for their dedication to upholding ideals of leadership, success in the field of agriculture, and brotherhood, and recognize Wednesday, February 20th, 2013 as Alpha Gamma Rho Day at the State Capitol. Through with the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Speak to the resolution. I call upon distinguished senator from the 47th.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, it's not very often that we turn around and look at the impact that agriculture has in our state, but in agriculture, we've got to have leaders, and one of the best things that I know that we do in our state is we grow leaders. The Alpha Gamma Rho was the best thing that I ever did when I was at the University of Georgia some 32 years ago. Here on the platform with me, I've got quite a few leaders in our state, the brothers of mine, but more importantly, I've got a lot more brothers up on the gallery with us today. Before we look at, as we move through our day, one of the things that we have to recognize is we're all brothers, some fraternally bound, some otherwise. To me, I want to introduce Garrett Gatches from the Tifton campus, said the president of the Alpha Gamma Rho chapter at Tifton. I have Chase Cowart with me, the president from the Alpha Gamma Rho chapter in Athens, who just this weekend celebrated 86 years at the University of Georgia. If you look up here, you might recognize a few of the faces. The senator from the 13th. I believe, what year was it, Senator Crawley?
1958.
1958. We look over here, our senator from the 7th. They graduated 2009. Said he's going to grow into that one day. Our brother from the 50th Senate District, our most recent initiate, said, as a matter of fact, it was Saturday. Coming over from the House, we have Brother Black, Brother Williams, Brother Watson. And I just want to thank the brothers from Alpha Gamma Rho for being here today with us. But I also want to recognize a moment of silence for one of our brothers that suffered a tragedy yesterday and the loss of his father. And that's the chairman of our House Ag Committee, Brother Tom McCall. So if we could, let's reflect on Brother McCall. If you would, please rise with me. Dear Lord, please watch over our family, whether they be fellow senators, fraternity brothers, citizens of the state of Georgia. We hope that your guiding hand will carry us forward in the bonds of brotherhood and move our state forward in our number one industry, agriculture, and our number one organization, Alpha Gamma Rho, in that agriculture brotherhood of life. Please guide and direct all of us in our activities, but especially watch over Brother Tom McCall in his moment of loss. Amen.
Amen.
I'm going to call on and one of the things that I want to always do when we talk about agriculture, our Commissioner of Agriculture, Commissioner Gary Black. Gary, would you say a few comments?
Thank you, Senator. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, it's a pleasure for us to be here. We've got a great group of young people up here, and some of us have been around a little while, but let me tell you what, in my belief, when we do recognition like this, it's about the young people. This is the future generation, the future of agriculture. We need you, y'all. Thanks to the Senate for your support, and God bless you for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I have all my brothers in the gallery please rise? Give them a round of applause.
Let's get on the steps there and let's get us a picture. Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 250 by Senator Bethel, the 54th. A resolution recognizing and commending the Fellowship of Christian Athletes of Georgia and for other purposes. Whereas since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been challenging coaches and athletes on the professional, college, high school, junior high school, and youth levels to use the powerful medium of athletics to impact the world for Jesus Christ. And whereas FCA is the largest interdenominational, school-based Christian sports organization in America. And whereas the initiative, service, and dedication to achieving greatness through Christ displayed by this exceptional group of Georgians is worthy of recognition. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend the Fellowship of Christian Athletes of Georgia and its members for their countless accomplishments, recognize them for their unyielding willingness to serve the community, and wish them many blessings as they continue to grow and thrive. Through with the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair is none, and the resolution is adopted. Speak to the resolution and recognize this wonderful organization. I call upon the distinguished senator from the 54th.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is a pleasure to be before you. You heard one of our chaplains this morning with the devotion, but to recognize the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. This is an organization that's been a meaningful part of my life for many years. My brothers before me were members of Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I was in my school days. I know that many of you have been touched by this ministry over the years. This is an organization that is student-driven. We have some huddle leaders from high schools in my part of the state that are with us this morning, and also some adult leaders that serve them. But the important part of FCA is that the young people in our schools drive the ministry. It is about those people interacting peer-to-peer, one to another, sharing the good news of the gospel. I'd like to recognize the Vice President of Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Dickie Clark, to say a few words about the ministry and speak to the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate it. On behalf of 153 employees that we have with this ministry across the state, they stretch from Dalton to Valdosta over to Carrollton to Conyers. On behalf of our staff, on behalf of thousands and thousands of volunteers that work with our ministry across the state, we now have the largest staffed ministry in the state across the country. We want to say thank you for this. It's certainly the laws of this land that allow ministries like FCA to do what we do and to help impact young people across this state. And we're very grateful for this. It's good to see people like Lindsay Tippins and, of course, Casey Cagle. I've joined them when banquets and things that we've done across this state along with many of you. So we appreciate your support for our ministry, and we're grateful and excited to accept this resolution today. Thank you.
Yeah, let's pose for a picture on the steps, okay? Good.
Are there any unanimous consents? Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Chair recognizes Senator from the 46th on a point of personal privilege. Please give the senator your attention.
Morning. We're honored today to have a group of students from Loganville Christian Academy with us in the audience in the gallery. I'd like to recognize them. They have pulled off a double whammy this year. They won the state championship in competition cheerleading and in state football championship. So we've got both the team and the cheerleaders here today. They're nicely dressed. You'll notice up in our gallery. Please give a nice warm Senate welcome to Loganville Christian Academy. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 37th.
I'd like to call your attention this morning to a group of high school students that are in the Capitol today from Peach County. I did not know that they were even going to be here until a little after 9 o'clock. They are you can say, in the truest sense, studying career pathways They put on a demonstration at 9. They're going to repeat it at 12 o'clock and at 2 o'clock. There's 5 students in this team. They take a V8 Chevrolet engine apart completely and reassemble it in 20 minutes in the south lobby of the Capitol. It's amazing to see. We talk about preparing students for the workplace. I don't know of any better way to do it. This group from Peach County, I'd like to recognize them and their advisors who are here with them. If you've got a few minutes, drop by a little after 12 or a little after 2. You can see an engine coming apart and going back together in less than 20 minutes. They did it in 19 minutes and 44 seconds this morning. Thank y'all.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 8th to recognize some special guests in the gallery.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like the Senate to welcome, if you would, today is Georgia Rural Health Day at the Capitol. This association was founded in 1981. It's done a great job. You know, they represent 109 counties with 35,000 or less in population across this state. And I'd like the Senate to give a warm welcome, if they'd stand in the gallery to my left up here, Georgia Rural Health Day at the state capitol. Thank you for what y'all do. Thank you.
Okay, come on up. Are y'all doing it together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Senator, you're doing it together. Secretary will read 2 resolutions.
Senate Resolution 110 by Senators McCuna the 29th and others. A resolution recognizing and commending Sam R. Cunningham and for other purposes. Whereas Sam R. Cunningham began his career in emergency medical services in 1974 as emergency medical technician number 1740 and paramedic number 359 in Elbert County, Georgia, and has dedicated his entire career to the improvement of EMS in Georgia. And whereas he has assisted in setting up emergency preparedness programs and classes, was involved in the Summer Olympics 1996 and the G8 Summit 2004, and has worked faithfully and continually to provide 24-hour emergency response during winter storms. And whereas he has always been deeply devoted to his wife of 37 years, Mary, his daughter Kristen, and his son Jason, and has remained true to his family values of the highest order. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend Sam R. Cunningham for his 4 decades of service toward the development of emergency medical services in Georgia and his leadership and conscientious attention to detail that has garnered him respect and admiration from his fellow EMS professionals and citizens of the state of Georgia. Senate Resolution 219 by Senators Hill of the 32nd and others. A resolution commending the emergency medical services and professionals of Georgia and recognizing February 20th, 2013 as Emergency Medical Services Day at the Capitol and for other purposes. Whereas the emergency medical services professionals of Georgia respond to almost 1 million calls for assistance annually, risking their lives on a daily basis to go to the aid of those in need. And whereas there are over 16,000 EMS personnel who provide the essential life-saving services associated with out-of-hospital emergency medical care in the state of Georgia. And whereas this year marks the celebration of Georgia's EMS system's 40th year of service. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend the emergency medical services professionals of Georgia for their outstanding service to the state of Georgia and recognize February 20th, 2013 as Emergency Medical Services Day at the Capitol. Through with the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to adoption of both of these resolutions? Chair hears none, and the resolutions are therefore adopted. Speak to the resolution. I first call upon the senator from the 32nd and then the senator from the 29th.
Thank you, Governor and Senators. We're excited today to be able to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the emergency medical services for the state of Georgia. We want to just applaud them. Thanks for the 16,000 or so personnel that are daily there standing in the gap, risking their lives to save our life. And we want to also recognize the director, Keith Wages, today. We have a resolution. We have a lot of fine people here standing with us, as well as up in the gallery and throughout the Capitol today. If you would just give them a warm Senate welcome in recognizing the emergency medical services today. Thank you.
I certainly joined the senator from the 32nd in his comments, and we also had a resolution today to specifically
honor Mr. Sam Cunningham. One of the really special things about being able to serve in this body are the extraordinary people you come in contact with, and Mr. Cunningham is certainly one of those people. He's had over 4 decades of experience serving his fellow Georgians in EMS. He has an incredible heart for service and for helping others. I've had the opportunity to watch that in person as he continues that service even to this day in recognizing excellence among his colleagues in the EMS field. So it is quite a pleasure, and I hope you'll join me in commending Sam Cunningham for his decades of service to all of us here in Georgia. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 39th on a point of personal privilege. 39th.
Mr. President, members of the Senate, I have already come to this well on at least one, if not 2 occasions this session to talk about the new stadium that is being considered and looks as if it will be moving forward. Even though we will not be able to vote on any bill related to the new stadium, I have come and made comment about my concerns that $1.2 to $1.5 billion worth of work has no minority business involvement. As a matter of fact, the design RFP has been put out, and from what I understand, the firms that have replied to the RFP have no minority business partners, so it will be done exclusive of any minority businesses, whether they be African American, female, or otherwise. This has caused me even greater concern when we take into account that there has been an EEOC complaint filed against the World Congress Authority, even as we speak, by an African American woman. A complaint filed by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission of the federal government. I hope you will understand my unreadiness and skepticism about the ability of the World Congress Authority to be inclusive, to provide businesses to companies that look like Georgia, when you have them the object of a racial discrimination suit. An African-American woman by the name of Kelly Jackson has filed that suit. The World Congress Authority won't talk about it. They won't go on camera. They won't respond to media inquiries, but they deny any discrimination. We will see. Her lawyers and the EEOC hopefully will get to the bottom of it. But I hope you will understand my skepticism about the ability of the World Congress Authority to be inclusive on the basis of race and sex and otherwise when you have this legacy of the good old boy system, discriminating against African American at will and whim. This is an issue of some import. I hope you will take that into consideration. But we must say to the World Congress Authority, we will not accept discrimination in any way, shape, or form against our Georgia citizens. Thank you for your listening, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Secretary, read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 202 by Senators Ramsey of the 43rd and others. A resolution recognizing and commending Mr. Greg Mason upon the occasion of his retirement and for other purposes. Whereas Mr. Greg Mason has long been recognized for his dedicated service to the state and his deep personal commitment to the welfare of the citizens of Georgia and the protection of its natural resources. And whereas in 1984, Mr. Mason began his career with the state at the former Governor's Office of Energy Resources. And whereas Mr. Mason was united in love and marriage to his wife Jackie on May 27, 1989, and the couple has been blessed with 2 children, David and Mariah. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend Mr. Greg Mason for 3 decades of efficient, effective, and dedicated public service to the state of Georgia, congratulate him upon the grand occasion of his retirement, and extend to him their most sincere best wishes for continued health and happiness. Through with the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair is none, and the resolution is adopted. To speak to the resolution, it's my honor to call upon the distinguished senator from the 43rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, members of the Senate. It is truly my honor this morning to present to you a true public servant. We get the opportunity, based on the will of the citizens, to come here from time to time to serve the citizens of this great state. But too often we fail to recognize those true public servants who offer themselves in an employment capacity to serve our citizens day in and day out. And I present to you this morning such a citizen I am privileged to call a friend. Greg Mason is one of the finest gentlemen that you will ever want to meet or know. He has served the state of Georgia faithfully for 29 years, and this year he will be retiring from employment as a high-level state official. He is joined here this morning with his lovely wife, Jackie. Their children and my children were educated together early in their youth, and these people love the Lord, they serve the Lord, and when you call on Greg Mason and ask him to do something, consider it done. And it's rare that we get dedicated citizens and public servants who will be that consistent. So it was my honor to learn of his impending retirement and to give him this opportunity to be honored by this great body. So, Greg Mason.
Thank you. I can't thank you enough, Ryan. You say friendship, I take it to my heart. I love you, and I love this opportunity, and I love what I do, and I'm always a public servant from here on out. Amen.
Thank you. Let's give him a hand.
Good. That was you did good. All right. Thank y'all very much. We appreciate y'all. Call on us anytime. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 33rd on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I rise for just a very quick moment to concur with one part of what the senator from the 39th stated, and I do think that we in this state at this day and at this time in our country, in our state, are at a point where we probably ought to recognize those professions in proportion to the population that we have and the ability to do business that they do. Now, you can do this through minority partners, and I don't know of any team that couldn't be put together to do these things as we would talk about the new stadium. And so I agree with him. But let me say something on a different note. The stadium itself, I voted for the first one. I was the only person from Cobb County to vote for it. And I felt like it was a good thing for us to have in this city, in this state. And I would say to you that it's paid dividends in many, many ways. And the World Congress Center Authority has been and the World Congress Center itself has been a real good investment for the state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta and all the shows and conventions that we have here. It's proven to be, location-wise and marketing-wise, a success. Now, I've heard a lot of things said about Arthur Blank. Well, let me tell you something. Bernie Marcus and Arthur Blank were two gentlemen that came here, moved their corporate headquarters here from time immemorial, and built one of the greatest businesses in the world. And if you look around, they're not selfish. You look at the aquarium, you look at the Atlanta Falcons, you look at the money they put into that, I would guess to the tune of several $1 billion of their own money for these things that really on the front end won't help them that much. But I just, for the life of me, don't understand two things. One is why the General Assembly is not being included in making this decision. If they wanted $300 million, they don't need to go shop for the other $100 million because they're over the bonding authority at the World Congress Center. They need to come here and ask us. and have us vote on it. Now, they're afraid of it. I heard that said that they don't want to put the members of the General Assembly on the spot. I don't want to run from a vote that has something to do with history in our capital city in the future. I would say if you're going to put $1.3 billion into something, and the state only has to put in maybe 15% of it, and then when it's over, it reverts to the state as state property. If you can get that kind of work, it's good work. I'd do it every day. But I would say being left out of the process is a mistake, I think, on the part of the administration, the city of Atlanta, or whoever's in charge of making those decisions, because I would say to you that we are the best measurement to see how the citizens of the entire state feel. And being 4 yards away from the Super Bowl isn't too bad. The Atlanta Falcons are real this time. So I just wanted to get up and speak my piece in favor of a good business opportunity. Thank you.
It's great to have our newly elected congressman from the 9th District. Served in the House for several years and hails from Hall County, and we're very, very proud of Congressman Doug Collins, and it's great for me to welcome him to this body and give him a moment to greet the Senate. Great, thanks.
Well, I appreciate that, Lieutenant Governor. It's always a pleasure being with you and also being with the Senate over here, and my colleagues from the 9th, but also my Senator Butch Miller being here as well. And I haven't had a chance to public. I told him just a minute ago he is our man of the year, and I appreciate it being able to recognize that from here. It's good when you're across the hall, you think about coming over to the Senate and you have all these things you want to say. All I'll say is this: it's good to work with you, and it's good to be back here where actually things get done. And I'm glad to see what's going on here in Georgia, of course, with the governor, lieutenant governor, the Senate, with the speaker in the House. You're what makes the economy work and what we need a lot more of in Washington. So keep doing what you're doing, what's been going on, and it's just a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you so much.
Good. Well done. Good job. Doing great. Hope you all. Good. You enjoy it. Good.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 29th. Had his light on. Yes, you're recognized. Senator from the 29th, point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a brief announcement. The Georgia Young Republicans are having their day under the Gold Dome today, and will be meeting in 230, room 230, from adjournment until 1 p.m. I hope you'll take the opportunity to get to know some of these fine young professionals from around our state. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Chair recognizes Senator 36th on a point of personal privilege. 36th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I rise on a point of personal privilege to ask you to think with me briefly as we move toward taking up our legislation today on the floor about the question of local control. And I would say to you, we are seeing some very dangerous signs here under the Gold Dome of an erosion of local control. How would you feel if your county suddenly doubled in size the amount of its delegation because legislators were drawn in who live miles away from your county, but they have a vote equal to yours? I represent 175,000 Fulton Countyans, as do several of my colleagues. But we've had drawn into our county people who have one precinct or a partial precinct in our county, have no history in our county's governance, represent a very, very small portion of voters in our county, and yet they have seen fit to band together in the great county of Fulton to introduce a bill to tell us that we need to do away with our civil service system. We need to do away with our personnel system, with our merit system. We need to stop all pensions for our Fulton County employees who are hired after 2014. Isn't that a notion? Now, y'all don't live here in Fulton County, but you sure do come in here to Fulton County, don't you? And wouldn't you love to see our ambulance service working when you have that unfortunate incident, be it a health crisis or be it an accident on the downtown connector? Wouldn't you love to think that Fulton County is able to shoulder the responsibility of bringing the ambulance to you and getting you to the right trauma center in an appropriate amount of time? Well, this crowd that's drawn themselves into Fulton County has seen fit to introduce a bill to double the homestead exemption. For what purpose? To reduce our revenues for our county by almost $50 million a year. Now, this is games that are going on across the hall in that chamber where this legislation is starting. They intend to have it before us at a point in time. But I want each of you to look into your heart and think what judgment you would have about first having the makeup of your county delegation deformed by fancy map drawing that brings people in that live 20, 15, 30 miles away. Give them a few voters in Fulton, and all of a sudden they have a vote equal to mine on how we're going to pay our bills and administer our services, run our senior centers, run our youth programs, administer our county government, our Fulton County, Atlanta Fulton County libraries. All of these services that citizens take for granted are now under assault. And is that our vision of local control, or is that the Republican Party's vision of appropriate local control when they do a bill up here that tells us that we have to have a supermajority to adjust our homestead exemption, that tells us that we have to cut our revenues by $50 million a year, that tells us that our first responders are no longer going to have a pension plan? It will be impermissible to have a pension plan in the county of Fulton for our public employees? That's those folks that come a-running when you need them. That's our first responders. We have heard testimony from firemen. We have heard testimony from members of the police who caution us, if you do away with the civil service system in Fulton County, you do away with the ability of employees to whistleblow when there's something that the public needs to know. A firefighter with some 20 years experience in our county fighting fires, saving lives, saving property, said if this bill were to pass, 15 years ago, he raised an alarm about the lack of modernized firefighting equipment and the ability for the firefighters to do their job in Fulton. He spoke out. He was protected by the civil service system. His right to free speech was protected by that.
Time, Senator, time.
Thank you. And as a result, he was able to get policy changed in our county around firefighting equipment, saving lives, saving property. Take heed. Local control is under assault coming soon to your county if you stand silent in the face of this. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 86 by Senator Wilkinson of the 50th. A resolution commending Habersham County and recognizing February 20th, 2013 as Habersham County Day at the State Capitol and for other purposes. Whereas established in 1818, Habersham County was named for Colonel Joseph Habersham and was originally an area of 713 square miles. And whereas Habersham County's Clarksville was voted by a Randy McNally poll as the #2 best small town for retirement in the United States with state-of-the-art medical facilities and a nationally recognized hospital. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend Habersham County on its distinguished history and recognize February 20th, 2013 as Habersham County Day at the State Capitol. Through with the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. We so much appreciate Habersham County, and it's a great honor to recognize them today. And to do so, I call upon the distinguished senator from the 50th.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the Senate. It is an honor for me to recognize the Habersham Countyans that we have here in the Senate today. This is the 23rd year for Leadership Habersham, and we're fortunate to have members of the Leadership Habersham class for 2013 with us in the gallery and some other guests from Habersham County. So at this time, I'd like to ask for you to stand and be recognized. Thank you very much. I won't try to repeat everything that you heard in the resolution, but as you know, Habersham County is a beautiful county. If you look on your desk today, you see that you have some of this Black Hawk, Abby J's Black Hawk salsa from Habersham County. This is compliments of Abby Jackson. She and her husband John run Black Hawk fly fishing. And by the way, Habersham County does have the best fly fishing east of the Mississippi River, but I believe Abby and her husband were named Entrepreneurs of the Year by the Habersham County Chamber of Commerce for 2012, so we would like to commend them and thank you for the salsa on our desk today. Now, another fact about Habersham County is that agriculture is the #1 driver in the economy in Habersham County, and tourism is #2. So we're fortunate to have the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce in Habersham County, Ken Schubring, with us today, who works for Fieldale Farms Corporation, one of the major economic drivers in Habersham County. So Ken, at this time I'm going to present you with this resolution and give you the opportunity to make some remarks.
Thank you very much, Senator Wilkerson. I just want to take this time to thank y'all for having us here today, and also thank all of the citizens of Habersham County that gave up their day to come and support our county and continue the legacy that we have. Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes Senator on the 56th on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. The senator from the 36th came up a while ago and was talking about issues relating to Fulton County, and I feel it important to address the facts in this scenario. First thing that she mentioned was involving a firefighter and bringing concerns up to the public as it relates to outdated equipment. We do not need outdated civil service laws for employees to come forward to bring actions. In fact, we have over 30,000 of those throughout the state today that do a great job, most of them not covered under archaic practices. But for anybody who is curious of why we're making radical changes to Fulton County, let me give you some very important and cited examples. The Atlanta Fulton County Public Library System had to settle a $20 million discrimination lawsuit that affected taxpayer dollars for ineffective management. Then there was a settlement of litigation against the Fulton County Sheriff, which resulted in federal consent order requiring $50 million in repairs and upgrades to the Fulton County Jail, of which today still does not have proper locking mechanisms. Former Fulton County Sheriff Jackie Barrett was removed from office following disclosure of embezzlement activities, which resulted in additional costs to taxpayers. The Fulton County Courthouse Security Plan and Procedures resulted in the tragic deaths of 4 people in 2005. Wrongful death lawsuits have cost taxpayers many millions of dollars more. Deficiencies still exist. The Grady Health System, due to a lack of due diligence and oversight and reimbursement services and bad debt in 2009, the entire process was taken away from the Board of Commissioners, who failed to take corrective action time and time again and had to be taken over by a non-for-profit board. In 2005, an audit of the Fulton County Board of Assessors found multiple deficiencies, many of which are uncorrected in this day. The 15-year delay in updated valuation and non-residential real property in Fulton County caused a loss of tax revenue over a period of years, as well as a disproportionate burden to homeowners. The lack of a strategic long-term plan use in North Fulton resulted in the construction moratorium in 2001 due to a lack of wastewater management and ineffective management by the County Commission. Fulton County has been fined repeatedly for wastewater spills and EPD violations. These fines cause increased services to customers. Wastewater spills can harm the environment and has been attributed to a lack of management and oversight. Following the loss of life in 2008, the Fulton County 911 system audit affirmed multiple deficiencies. Sadly, most of these are still there today. Fulton County's ineffective asset management practices in 2008 showed that they had no asset inventory, none, and an inability to locate $160 million in asset purchases. In Fulton County facilities, over $50 million in critical infrastructure repair were identified in 2008, yet no annual capital contributions were being made while spending money out of the rainy day fund. Fulton County judicial system in 1999, a failure to integrate IT systems was wasted over $20 million in capital investment. Finally approved in 2006, the criminal justice integration system has been delayed for over 3 years, and in 2009, funding for the project was revoked mid-year and never done. The State of Georgia local assistance grants, compliance with this in 2005 and 2006 and 2007, resulted in taxpayer dollars from Fulton having to repay the State of Georgia for numerous unaccounted funds. Federal HUD sanctions from 2006 to 2008 were caused by a program of mismanagement. The clerk of the Superior County Judge of Fulton County, an audit currently in the final stages of 34 deficiencies, released the final reports and it continues to pen 3 years later. Multiple Blue Ribbon Commission reports have been shelved and taken no action. Consistent violations of service delivery standards with the cities and the use of general funds for special services districts and ability to consummate renegotiation of mandatory agreements in 2009 was followed by a request for arbitration, and the city governments were all denied that, even though there was an executed agreement which resulted in yet another lawsuit. Citizens are being assessed multiple county taxes to pay for lawyers that file suit for each other against other parts of the county. Indictments and convictions of Fulton County Commissioners Reginald Eves, Michael Hightower, Mitch Scandalakis have eroded confidence in the integrity of the Board of Commissioners of Fulton County, including the problems with purchasing, procurement irregularities, repeated delay in contract awards, questionable scoring practice, and inconsistencies in policy compliance. Animal control services in Fulton County, deficiencies in operations and oversight have been clearly documented. Currently, there's a lawsuit over those fees and the result of a poorly written contract and no enforcement of the terms. Fulton County registrations and elections has dozens and dozens of violations, including the very last election cycle again, which is being investigated by federal authorities and the Secretary of State in Georgia. These are examples of ineffective government. There should be no question while Fulton needs radical reforms, I would like to see the venom against them being used for positive to fix them, because our goal is to make Fulton County healthy, not to continue down the current road, which has been embarrassing. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 43rd, point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, during the month of February, as you know, members of the Senate have the opportunity to come up and to share with you some of the history of our nation and to chronicle some of the accomplishments of African Americans and those who've been enlightened enough to help us progress to the point that we have today. We often chronicle history when we talk about those accomplishments, but today I have the honor to share some living history with you. Today we have visiting with us in the chamber our new tax commissioner in Rockdale County, Mr. R.J. Hadley, who is the first African American to serve as the tax commissioner of Rockdale County. He's standing back near my desk. Please welcome and acknowledge him. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from 35th on a point of personal privilege. This will be our last point of personal privilege, and we'll move on to business.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, you know, we can talk about Fulton County and say negative things about things that happened in the past, but we can also give accolades to Fulton County for the many good things that have happened in Fulton County. Dividing Fulton County is not the answer, but there's a group from North Fulton who wants to discriminate against South Fulton, and that's a fact. They've continued to think that South Fulton is anything south of I-20 should not be part of it. And the whole reason for all of this, and not just in my opinion, is because it was printed on most of the North Fulton candidates who did win and who are in the House and Senate on their material. They said that we need Milton County, and they want Milton County to start at the top at Alpharetta and come all the way down and include Buckhead and Midtown. And then anything from the City Hall to south of I-20, they want to cut off. But dividing Fulton County is not the answer. The Board of Commissioners have a balanced budget in Fulton County, and they've had that for many years. They've not raised the millage rate since '97, and now this same group wants to put a homestead exemption bill in to double it so that they can take billions from the budget so that they can be just like many other metropolitan counties and have a deficit instead of a surplus. This is a real attack not only on Fulton County but the whole state of Georgia, because Atlanta is the heart, the center, and the core of this city. When any of us, even those who live in rural areas, go out of this country or out of this state and someone says, where you from? Most of the time they say Atlanta, even though you get here and have different problems and want to do things to destroy Fulton County. It's a real attack on Fulton County, and our North Fulton County senators can continue to come up and taunt all of the negative things that may have happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but they don't ever give the real facts. So if we want to talk about indictments, we need to talk about some current indictments that's right here existing in this very chamber. So let's be part of the solution and not the problem. Let us work together. We have worked for one Fulton County, but instead we have a North Fulton and a South Fulton, not because of the inner city and the south part, but because North Fulton seems to think that they are greater than thou. Let us come together. Let us work together. We are Fulton County, and we don't need to do anything to divide it at all, in my opinion. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Senator from the 49th is recognized to recognize a special group in the gallery. Senator from the 49th.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a distinguished group of folks from South Hall County. If I could get them to stand in the top left-hand corner of the gallery, please. Republican Club from South Hall County. Oh, on the other side, beg your pardon. They do the wave. One more time. Thank you for giving them that warm Senate welcome. These are great citizens of the state of Georgia who are encouraging others, educating others about the principles of good government, and we appreciate them being here today. Thank you, Mr. President.
You have a consent calendar of privileged resolutions that are before you. Is there objection to adoption of the privileged resolutions? Chair hears none, and the privileged resolutions are therefore adopted. Chair, are there any motions to withdraw or commit? Chair recognizes Senator from the 4th.
Mr. President, I move that House Bill 105 be withdrawn from the general calendar and committed to the Appropriations Committee.
This appropriations bill, chairs needing to send it back to appropriations. Secretary will read.
House Bill 105 by Representatives Ralston of the 7th and others. A bill to amend an act providing appropriations for the state fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2012 and ending June 30th, 2013, and for other purposes. Through with the order, Mr. President.
So, the Chair of Appropriations asks for unanimous consent. Is there objection? Without objection, we will recommit it back to appropriations. Mr. Secretary, are there any objections filed on any of the bills on the local consent calendar?
Mr. President, there are no objections filed in the Secretary's office.
Is there objection to agree and report to committee on the state and local governmental operations which fail to pass the bills on the local consent calendar? Chair hears none. Report to committee is agreed to. Question is on the passage of the local consent calendar. All of those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary will unlock the machine. Voting on the local consent calendar. On the passage of the local consent calendar, the ayes are 46, the nays are 0, and the local consent calendar is therefore adopted. Moving on to the general calendar, Secretary will read Senate Bill 11.
Senate Bill 11 by Senator Carter I. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 5 of Title 12 of the OCGA relating to general provisions relative to water resources so as to reestablish the Georgia Geospatial Advisory Council and provide for its membership and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Natural Resources and the Environment recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Senator Tollison of the 20th, Chairman. The Senate Natural Resources and Environment Committee offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 11. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 5 of Title 12 of the OCGA relating to general provisions relative to water resources so as to reestablish the Georgia Geospatial Advisory Council and provide for its membership and for other purposes. Through with the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 1st. Please give the Senator your attention.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, I bring before you today Senate Bill 11. This bill will reestablish the Georgia Geospatial Advisory Council. This was a council that was set up about 4 years ago to advise on the flood map plains in our state, to coordinate and have a cohesive series of GIS information that we could use for flood maps in our state. This advisory council actually sunset last June 30th. It needs to be reestablished in order to continue the good work that they've done in making sure that our flood maps throughout the state, on the state, the local and county and local level, are all the same and that they communicate properly. I would ask your favorable consideration of Senate Bill 11 to reestablish this advisory committee that has no cost to the taxpayers at all for a period of 2 years. Mr. President, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
No questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Question on the adoption of committee substitute. Is there objection? Without objection, committee substitute is adopted. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Grant report of committee which fail pass the bill. Chair hears none. Report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Question on the pass the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary in the like machine. On the pass of the bill, the yeas are 49, the nays are 0, and this bill having received Rex constitutional majority is therefore passed. Secretary will read Senate Bill 69.
Senate Bill 69 by Senator Murphy of the 27th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 4A of Title 49 of the OCGA relating to Department of Juvenile Justice so as to provide for confidentiality of information supplied by certain children and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Judiciary and Non-Civil recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Senator Stone of the 23rd, Chairman. The Senate Committee on Judiciary and Non-Civil offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 69. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 4A of Title 49 of the OCGA relating to the Department of Juvenile Justice so as to provide for confidentiality of information supplied by certain children and for other purposes. Through with the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 27th to present the bill. Please give the Senator your attention.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the Senate. I bring to you today Senate Bill 69 on behalf of the Department of Juvenile Justice. This bill brings into closer compliance with the Department of Corrections regarding confidentiality. The bill requires officials and employees of the department to keep information confidential that was supplied by children or young adults that discloses abuses and wrongdoing in the juvenile justice system. Officials and employees who break confidentiality, which subjects a child to physical jeopardy or harassment, is subject to suspension or discharge. And that's pretty much what the bill does, that we need to keep confidentiality between these children that actually disclose abuses within the justice system so nobody retaliates against them, so the newspapers doesn't get a hold of it, so it doesn't get out into the news, both for the children and for the correction officers that it involves. Mr. President, that's pretty much what this bill does. If there's no questions, I yield the will.
There are no questions, Senator. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection? Chair hears none, and the committee substitute is adopted. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Grant report of committee which fail pass the bill. Chair hears none. The report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary will. Senator from the 47th. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51 and the nays are 0. This bill, having received requisite constitutional majorities, therefore pass. Secretary will read Senate Bill 86.
Senate Bill 86 by Senator Stone of the 23rd. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 5 of Title 16 and Title 17 of the OCGA relating to stalking and criminal procedure, respectively, so as to provide greater protection and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Judiciary and Non-Civil recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Senator Stone of the 23rd, Chairman. The Senate Judiciary and Non-Civil Committee offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 86. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 5 of Title 16 and 17 of the OCGA relating to stalking and criminal procedure, respectively, so as to provide greater protection and for other purposes. Senator Cowsert of the 46th offers the following amendment to the substitute to Senate Bill 86 by adding subsection C following line 71 as follows. When an arrest is made by a law enforcement officer without a warrant upon a violation of a family violence order pursuant to Code Section 17-4-20 and for other purposes. Through with the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the distinguished chair of the Judiciary Non-Civil Committee, carrying the bill, Senator from 23rd. Present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fellow senators, bring before you Senate Bill 86. This bill is an important statement of our state against the problem of family violence. This is a bill that does two things. We've already, in the past, worked in ways to prevent family violence from occurring. This strengthens the provisions of the law that we have in our state. Does two things. One, it expands the scope of what are domestic violence orders to include orders dealing with pretrial release and also with probation. And these are situations where a court has made a determination that there is a risk of family violence, or that family violence has already occurred. So the bill does a second thing, and that is to give a tool to law enforcement to enable law enforcement to make arrests for nonviolent violations of family violence orders only where there is probable cause, and that is a determination that there's a reasonable basis in fact that a violation has occurred. The typical situation in many cases is that the aggrieved victim obtains a protective order, either through their own petition or through asking the court to make conditions for pretrial release. And this order is supposed to be obeyed. There's been a determination that there's a risk of family violence or that it has already occurred. And what the law enforcement community is finding is that, and common experience has proven, is that violators don't necessarily follow these orders, but test them to see how much they can be violated to show the victim who's really in charge, the court or the perpetrator. So when a violation occurs, when someone goes where a court has ordered them not to go, in the case of a domestic violence, if a law enforcement officer has to go back to the court first and obtain an order for an arrest, the risk of lethality, of homicide, of violence occurring goes up dramatically. But if the officer, based on training on what constitutes probable cause, can make the arrest as a misdemeanor, then we have dramatically reduced the risk of that violence from occurring. The amendment to this bill does something that we consider is already in the law, but we have no objection to, and that is the fact that once an arrest under these circumstances has been made, that within 48 hours the violator is brought before a judge and a warrant issued. This prohibits the risk of abuse by the law enforcement community. This and another amendment which was passed in committee, which limits the authority to make such an arrest to persons who are unrelated to either party in the situation, that is, disinterested law enforcement. I urge you to vote in favor of this bill. The Georgia Commission Against Family Violence has strongly recommended this, as have many judges and law enforcement officers around our state. Mr. President, if there are no questions, I'll yield the well.
There are no questions, Senator. I'm sorry. No questions, Senator.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 46th to speak to his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I think that the senator from the 23rd has just agreed that he has no objection to this amendment, and it is true it may not be necessary, but just in an abundance of caution, what this does is make certain that in a case where an officer has been given the discretion to make an arrest without a warrant, without having to go before a judge and demonstrate that this nonviolent violation of an order has occurred, that there will be some judicial review of that. A magistrate judge or another judicial officer will be able to review the officer's claim of probable cause to make certain that there's reasonable grounds to believe that the order was violated. This must occur within 48 hours of the arrest, and if they're not able to demonstrate that they had probable cause to make that warrantless arrest, then the accused person shall be released, because they can be held without bond during this 48-hour period, that they will be released, and the charge, which is a criminal charge now for violating a family violence order, will be dismissed against them. I think this is a fair balancing act, and that's what we're trying to do here, is to weigh the rights of an accused person that's been accused of a crime with the rights of these victims, who many times are afraid to come forward and raise the charges against their ex-spouse or whoever this might be. So we're trying to protect women and family members from unnecessary violence, and in this case against nonviolent acts, which we all know can later lead to violent acts. And on the other hand, we're also trying to protect people that are accused of a crime of their constitutional rights, that there be probable cause that they've committed an offense before they can be imprisoned against their will without probable cause. I think this strikes that delicate balance where we protect the rights of both segments of society here. There is an amendment to my amendment that will go a step further and require that in the case where there was not probable cause to prosecute somebody for violating one of these orders, that charge itself shall be expunged or removed from your record. So you would not have a criminal record of having been arrested for violating an order when there was never any probable cause even demonstrated that you had in fact done that. I see some of you looking at the board trying to read my handwriting here, or I guess that's our pro tem's handwriting on that, so I'll leave you to that. Mr. President, I will answer any questions or yield the well.
No further questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 48th to speak to his amendment on the, or I'm sorry, hold on, Senator. Read the amendment, please.
Senator Schaefer and of the 48th and others offer the following amendment to Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 86 by adding on line 13 after the word dismissed the following words, and the record of the arrest restricted. Through with the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 48th to speak to his amendment.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I think the senator from the 46th did an adequate job of explaining the effect of the amendment to the amendment. What the amendment provides is that if the police officer doesn't follow the existing law and appear before the judge within 48 hours, that the charge against the suspect is dismissed. The amendment would further provide that the record of the arrest for that charge would be restricted, which is the new term of art for the word expunged, and I think provides some additional protection for those who are wrongfully arrested or accused. And if there are no questions, I will yield the well.
There are no questions, Senator. Question is on the adoption of Amendment 1A. Amendment 1A, which is before you. Is there objection? Without objection, Amendment 1A is adopted. Now the question is on the adoption of Amendment 1 as amended. Is there objection? Without objection, Amendment 1 is adopted as amended. Now the question is on the adoption of the committee substitute as amended. Is there objection? Without objection, committee substitute as amended is adopted. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agree and report of committee which favor will pass the bill. Chair hears none. Report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? The chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed, no. And the secretary will unlock the machine. Chair recognizes Senator from the 54th to honor some very special guests in the gallery. Please give them your attention.
Well, I just want to welcome the Lady Bruins softball team from Northwest Whitfield High School. They won the state championship this year, and they brought a lot of pride to our community. They're coached by Jason Brooker, who was somewhat of a ball player in his day, but has proved to be a very good coach. If you would help me and welcome them, and y'all let them know that this old Dalton guy said go Bruins in the Senate, all right? So help me welcome them to the Capitol. Y'all stand up. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
On the pass of the bill, the yeas are 49 and the nays are 0. And this bill, having Rex Constitution majority, is therefore passed. Chair recognizes the senator from the 18th, distinguished Majority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Thursday, February 21st.
Read the announcements.
Rules will meet upon adjournment in 450 cap. Regulated Industries and Utilities will meet at 1 p.m. in 307 CLOB. State and local governmental operations will meet at 1 p.m. in the MES 1. Health and Human Services will meet at 2 p.m. in 450 cap. Transportation at 2 p.m. is canceled. Higher Education is at 3 p.m. in 125 cap. Judiciary non-civil will meet at 3 p.m. in 307 CLOB. Retirement at 3 p.m. in 310 CLOB. Judiciary at 4 p.m. in 307 CLOB. And Agriculture and Consumer Affairs at 4 o'clock in 310 CLOB.
Chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 38th for an announcement.
Well, it's still morning, colleagues, and I would like to invite each and every one of you to a public hearing this afternoon. It will be at 4:30 in 341 of the Capitol, and it's to get input from Fulton County regarding the legislation that's coming up and from our citizens. So we'd like to invite you to come hear about it and become educated on those particular issues that will be before us. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 53rd for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. We just want to remind everybody, if you have a bill that makes it to the Rules Committee, you need to come and see me and ask me if you want that bill to be considered for the Rules calendar. Many times people introduce bills that you may just want to send a message. You don't necessarily want it to make it to the floor. You know, we've all done it. So I need to know if you want a bill to be considered for the Rules calendar. So please come see me if you do. This is the last time I'll make that message. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Remind me, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 31st for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. I just wanted to invite you all across the street to lunch in the Ag Building. We are having a joint rural caucus meeting and jointly with the Sportsman's Caucus that many of you have signed up for. We will have former Congressman Lindsey Thomas over there to talk to us about the North American wildlife model. It's a world-renowned model for the management of our wildlife in our country. We'd invite you to come over. That's in the Ag Building across the street. Thanks.
Chair recognizes senator from the 51st for an announcement. 51st.
Just a reminder, today at 5 o'clock down at the depot, we will be having a reception from the Intelligent Transportation Society of Georgia, along with the Institution of Transportation Engineers of Georgia, hosted by the chairman of the DOT board, Johnny Floyd, and Jay Shaw, vice chair. We'd love to see you all there. 5 o'clock, Freight Depot. Thank you.
Chair recognizes senator from the 32nd on an announcement. 32nd.
Since this is the announcement of the announcement session, I just want to remind everybody we have the Georgia Young Republicans here today at the Capitol. They'll be in room 130 about 2:30 this afternoon downstairs, and we thank them for being here. We recognize that their input and value them as upcoming leaders in the state of Georgia, and I look forward to seeing y'all down there. Thank you.
Chair recognizes senator 22nd on an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, I rise to announce that this week is National Engineers Week, and in this week we recognize the efforts of engineers, scientists, and mathematicians. And on Friday of this week, we'll be celebrating Engineers Day at the Capitol. We've got folks from across the state of Georgia, business and industry folks, as well as students representing our engineering schools here in the state of Georgia who will be at the campus with displays and other activities. And I look forward to you being a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The Chair recognizes Senator from the 4th, Appropriations Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Appropriations Committee, we're going to have a quick meeting in the morning at 9:30 prior to convening at 10, and we've got some business to take care of, and I appreciate your prompt attention, and we won't hold you but about 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Please, committee members, make sure we get that so we can have the supplemental budget on the floor Friday. So very, very important we get that handled tomorrow morning. The majority whip has moved that we stand adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. All of those in favor will say aye. All those opposed, no. Ayes clearly have it. We stand adjourned.